What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I wanted to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with big news involving Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin to all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, in just about 12 days from now. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening to Tesla. Tesla's kind of choppy right now in this 175 area. We have this resistance at this 50 EMA right now. If we do lose this, we have this 172 support, and we have 175 as resistance. Breaking through this does open the doors for a little bit of a push all the way back up to 177. But so far, Tesla's not been able to do so. And if anything, there's a little bit of weakness in the chart even during the pre-market session, since we're still below our EMAs. So we watch to see how Tesla reacts from here. I'll give you guys more details about Tesla in the market in just a few minutes. Let's first talk about some data. So today is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. 1 hour before the market has opened, we had initial jobless claims that just came out, and this is actually very important. We had 231,000, a little bit higher than expected. And then we had continuing jobless claims a little bit above the consensus, but a little bit below the forecast. So this was very close to expectations. This is showing us that when it comes to the labor market, it's not really necessarily very horrendous, not really getting a very big spike, but we are starting to see a little bit of contraction here and there. It's a little bit tight here and there. And we are starting to see jobless claims a bit higher than expected. So there's a little bit of, I would say, weakening that's going on, but it's not necessarily, at least on paper, based off the data, it's not like too crazy. Once again, guys, I'm not necessarily saying that all this data is 100% correct. I'm just saying that this is what the data is showing us on paper for now. And once again, data can be very biased. But anyways, going back, what's happening is basically 15 minutes before the market opens, we have industrial production coming out, not to mention industrial production year over year and month over month, manufacturing production year over year and month over month. So we'll see what the production numbers look like 15 minutes before the market opens. And then once the market opens, we have Barr, Harker, Mester, and also Bostic giving their speeches throughout the day. So a bunch of Fed speakers today. We'll see what they end up causing, at least for the markets. One thing worth noting is that since all the inflationary numbers came in aligned with expectations yesterday, the Fed is incentivized to be a little bit less on the hawkish side. For news about the market's back to rallying, continuing to push very well. For Walmart, they had pretty good earnings overall. They also had, once again, slightly better than expected full year guidances. I'll talk more about that in just a second. Besides that, Netflix is taking a real step into live sports, so good news for them. And also, Uber on Wednesday announced several new features that to help save customers money on rides and food, apparently. So that's something else worth noting. I'm seeing these on the headlines. For earnings, real quick, we have Walmart, which just announced their earnings, JD.com, John Deere, and later on for today, we just have a couple of others like Applied Materials and very minor ones. For Walmart, they did relatively well. They beat as the discounter wins over high-income shoppers. E-commerce sales have jumped. Good news for them. So just real quick, 60 cents adjusted is the EPS above expectations. Revenue is $161.5 billion above expectations. Not bad whatsoever from them. Revenue is up 6%. And then overall, when it comes to e-commerce sales, they're up 22%. And when it comes to their guidance, they actually did relatively well. They came in line with expectations, if not a little bit better. So pretty decent guidance overall. And they ended up just absolutely killing it when it comes to beating expectations in EPS and revenue. So good news for them. That's why the share price is up quite a bit right now during the pre-markets. Now, when it comes to other pieces of news, we did see some negative news about Tesla coming out from the media and also based off other factors. So Bridgewater has bought the Magnificent Seven stocks, but that is not including Tesla in bulk. So they've been buying, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and the list goes on, everything except for Tesla. And that is actually making investors kind of be double-minded with Tesla because of their margins right now. It's down 30% year to date, and with these margins that are getting more and more contracted amidst these high interest rates, Bridgewater was founded by Ray Dalio, and they're so far not really as interested in buying Tesla for now, but they could change their minds later, but that was not the best of news that came out. There's also news that came out that NIO is one of Tesla's rivals in China. It basically unveiled its Model Y competitor, the L60. This is actually $4,000 USD cheaper than that of the Model Y. It's going to be a big competitor. We actually have a picture of it right here. This is what it's going to be looking like. And this is getting a lot of comparisons with that of Tesla. And this is making some investors kind of nervous because, once again, this is going to be more affordable than the Model Y, at least for now. And also, it's going to help. It may actually affect Tesla's sales to some extent, so that's something else worth noting. And then Evercore, which is very important, is saying that Tesla is Dell's new big AI customer. Once again, it raised the stock price. So this is actually some pretty good news. They raised it basically to a $165 rating from 140. But long term, some investors did say some positive things. For now, we'll see what else happens from here. So that is something else worth noting. As far as Tesla goes, most of the news I would say is a little bit more on the negative side. There's also been a lot of talk about layoffs continuing in California. So with all this happening, with more negative news, we are looking a little bit more bearish, at least on the 1 hour time frame after getting this rejection. Also, our 4 hour time frame is kind of favoring bears a little bit more. So this does favor to me like it might actually tip a little bit more. But we're going to be looking at this test at this 170 area because it is possible Tesla's trying to form like a cup and handle right here. This is like a big cup. Then we have a handle kind of developing. We're about to get a big bounce. But if we lose 172, we could be dipping a little bit lower. And then if we lose that, that could be a sign Tesla's actually still continuing to fall. And it's actually failing to get much of a nice little change in its trend. Because the trend on Tesla is we have this high here, we come down, make a lower, we made a lower high, came down, we just broke that trend line. We're supposed to come down and start bouncing back up and start pushing higher for an inverse head and shoulders. But right now, Tesla's showing a little bit of weakness, so it's making things a little bit more difficult. So I think that there's a risk Tesla's going to dip down to about 172, but we'll have to see if Tesla gets a big bounce. If we do bounce and break back above 176.5 hour 200 EMA, then Tesla could start pushing back up to these higher levels. If we fail to get that bounce off 172 and we start losing it, then there's going to be a risk of Tesla coming down to fill this gap at 168. So I'll be watching this big test that's happening for today. Now I'm going to try to be kind of quick with the rest of my analysis, guys. I am actually running kind of late right now. Bitcoin did end up coming all the way up to our target, just under this 67,000 area, and we're going to be watching this resistance. It might actually dip a little bit, retest 65. Basically 65,500 area. We might actually dip a little bit, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not on Bitcoin. For Nvidia is once again pushing for now. We're at resistance at 950. We could retrace a little bit, retest 944, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not over there. So watch 944 is support. If we bounce off that, we could be pushing back up and breaking the high. If we reject it, then we could be dipping. But watch this 944 area down here. Do we get a big bounce off this and start pushing higher, or do we lose this and start dipping lower? Watch that, at least for the time being. For SPY, in my personal opinion, is on the 4 hour time frame. It's fighting this resistance at this 530 area. I'll be watching to see if we break this or not. If we hold above 530, we could be going up to 532. If we reject off 530, if we struggle to hold it, we could be retracing back down to 528 or so. So there's a risk of SPY is going to kind of reject here, but it really depends on how we react to 530. I'll be watching that very, very carefully. As of right now, we're a little bit below it. We're kind of fighting resistance. So if we reject, look for 528 and 526.6. 528 could be a target if we do kind of dip a little bit, but then we could bounce again off this, mid 520 area if we were to retrace just a bit. For the QQQ is the same thing. We hit 453. If we do retrace a little bit, we could be approaching 450 all over again, if not a little bit lower towards 448. And watch to see if we get a bounce or not. If we're bullish, you want to see it break 455. Right now, it's kind of struggling to hold 453, so it might dip a little bit. So just be very, very careful. For Apple's also at resistance at 190. Will we retrace a little bit and come back down to 188 and then try to bounce? Or will we just continue to break through it and start pushing for 192? As of right now, Apple's kind of struggling at 190. It's just shuffling between 189.3 and 190.5. So there's a risk it might actually retrace a bit all the way down towards 188, then maybe bounce afterwards. So we'll just have to wait and see how things go. For Amazon right here is actually at this 50 EMA at 185.5. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 184. If we hit resistance, we have 186.5 as resistance. A little bit of weakness on the chart might actually dip a little bit more towards the 184s. I'm seeing weakness on Amazon. Meta is also coming down a bit. I'm going to be looking for a test of about 472. We'll see if it bounces or not off that. If we lose that, we'll look for 468. If we hold for 72, we're going to bounce, but I do see a little bit of a retracement coming. The VIX is currently at 12.4. We're going to be watching to see if we get a bounce or not. We're very close to the support that we've had. We bounced off this level every single time this year, so I'll just watch and see if that ends up being the case or not. And then for AMC and GME, I know we're barely at 5 on AMC. I did call that level out. If we reject off 5.27, we're going to be dipping down to 4.38 on AMC. We're still looking more bearish overall. GME is also down a little bit in the after hours. Watch resistance at 38, 37 to 38. If we reject there, watch 34 support. If we lose that, we're going to be tipping even lower. All right. Anyways, that is it for my quick pre-market update, guys. I am running kind of late, so I'm sorry about that. Hope you guys found value in this. So I thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, and just watch this test on Tesla. It might dip a little bit towards 172. Will we bounce off 172 or not? If we lose it, there's going to be a bigger dip coming, and we have this gap to fill down here on Tesla as well. So just be careful, be mindful of that, and we'll see how things go. Thank you for listening. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.